Hello and welcome to See and Know. It's great that you're joining us today. I hope you've had a fantastic weekend and you're ready for today's story. Just two things. It's going to be great. But of course, before we get started on our story and everything else, we need to find out who's here. So we're going to sing our welcome song. So I'm going to sing and you can join in at home, and I'll leave a nice big gap for you or mum or dad or whoever's with you to say your name. Or you can say it yourself. Are you ready? Well, let's sing. Where is, did you come to see and know? There you are. Hello and welcome to See and Know. It's great that you're joining us for just two things. Well, it's great that you're joining Flo and I. And Flo and I have crossed a road this morning. Now, have you crossed a road today? No? Maybe? Yes? Well, there are rules, aren't there, when we cross the road to make sure we keep safe. The first one is stop. And then the second one is look. Yep, we've looked everywhere. And then listen to see if there's any traffic coming. And those rules keep us safe when we use the roads and when we cross them. We stop, we look, and we listen. And today's story is about two rules that Jesus taught us in the Bible. Isn't that right, Flo? So we're going to tell the story, just two things. Now, before we tell our story, of course, we've got to practice our actions. So are you ready to practice? So the first one is we're going to pretend that we're counting on our fingers. The second one, we're going to hold up two fingers. Then we're going to hold up one finger. Then we're going to place our hand on our heart and point upwards. Then we're going to hold up two fingers. Then we're going to put our hand on our hearts and point outwards. So let's just practice those again. So we're going to hold, counting on our fingers. That's number one. Hold up two fingers. Hold up one finger. Then we're going to put our hand on our heart and point upwards. Then two fingers, hold our hands on our heart and point outwards. Do you think you can remember those? Okay, well, let's tell the story. Just two things. A man was talking to Jesus and he said, "What are the rules to please God?" He thought there would be lots. Let's count on our fingers. But Jesus said, "Just two rules." Can you hold up two fingers? "What are they?" the man asked. Jesus said, number one, that's one finger, love God. So hand on our heart and point up to God. Number two, love each other. So hand on our heart and point to each other. And that's it. That's the two rules that Jesus told us are important to please God. Shall we tell that story again to remind ourselves what happened? This is the story, just two things. A man was talking to Jesus and said, "What are the rules to please God?" He thought there would be lots. Let's count them all on our fingers. Jesus said, "Just two rules." Two fingers, just two rules. "What are they?" the man asked. Jesus said, number one. Let's hold up number one. Hand on our heart and point up. Love God. Love God. And number two, love each other. Love each other. And that's it. They're the two rules to please God. And that's the end of our story. Just two things. Okay. Isn't that amazing that all we need to do is do two things to make God happy? We need to love Him and we need to love each other. And it's actually a really hard thing to do sometimes, isn't it? To love each other. But at the same time, it's really easy to remember that's the only two things we have to do. To love God and to love each other. And if we remember that in everything we do every day, then maybe it'll get a little bit easier. So when we're not wanting to do something we've been asked to do by our parents, we might be reminded we've got to love each other. So perhaps by doing this, I'm loving my parents. Maybe saying something horrible to my brother or sister, or throwing something at someone that's not very kind, that's a way to love each other. Maybe saying a prayer and talking to God, that's a way of loving Him. So there's all these little things to remind us to love God and to love each other. And that'll help us love and live our lives really well. Okay, right, we've got some craft suggestions coming up on screen. And I thought, why not, let's make some reminders of those two rules, number one and number two. So now on the screen are coming up some different numbers. but I was thinking we might want to do these for number 1 and number 2. So we're going to decorate some numbers that we can put up in our room or put up in our kitchen or put up somewhere in the house to remind us to, first of all, with the number 1, love God, and then with the number 2, to love each other. And you can decorate these in all sorts of different ways. Maybe you want to do like the number 3s with lots of tissue papers. Maybe you want to do like the number 5, find different bits around the house like buttons or other really cool things and stick them onto a number 1 or 2. Or maybe you want to even make some number 1 or 2 people with some arms and legs as well. So I'd love to see what creations you've come up with your number 1 and your number 2, how you've decorated them, what you've made to do them special, and maybe, if you want to, why not show us where you're putting them to remind each other to love God and to love each other. Okay, that's great. Enjoy having a go at those. Now we're going to sing a song, and we're going to sing Shine from the Inside Out. Because actually, if we love God, that's the inside, and that's supposed to shine out of us as we love each other. Okay, so let's sing together. Are you ready? Shine from the inside out, that the world will see you live in me. Shine from the inside out, that the world will see you live in me, and you know me, you love me, you fill me to send me to shine from the inside out, that the world will see you live in me. You know me, you love me, you fill me to send me to shine. There you go. So remember this week to shine, showing our love for God and our love for each other. Now we're going to finish off with our prayer, so we're going to need our wiggly fingers. Have you got your wiggly fingers? I've got my wiggly fingers here. Are you ready? We're going to wiggle our fingers up to the ceiling. We're going to wiggle our fingers down to the ground. We're going to wiggle our fingers up to the ceiling. We're going to wiggle our fingers down to the ground. We open and shut them. Open and shut them. Give a little clap. We open and shut them. Open and shut them. Put them on your lap. We put one little hand over one little eye. The other little hand over the other little eye. Bow our little heads and say a little prayer. Talk to God. Dear God, we thank you for the story today, telling us that there's only two things that we have to do to please you. To love you and to love everyone else. But we know that sometimes that's going to be really hard to do, and it's really hard to remember. So please help us every day to remind ourselves that we need to love you and to love our neighbours, and to find little ways of doing that to make it easier for us. Help us this week to love you, to love our neighbours, and everyone around us and ourselves just a little bit more. Amen. Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us with See and Know this morning. We're going to have the one service on Sunday, and of course we'll be back next Tuesday for See and Know again. So I hope you have a fantastic week, and we'll see you soon. Bye!